Welcome to today's deep dive. Imagine looking at a university admissions report and seeing that 44% of male applicants were accepted, but only 35% of female applicants.
Yeah, you would probably think you just uncovered a massive discrimination scandal.
Right. And that is exactly what happened at UC Berkeley in 1973. But today, our mission is to explore how stepping back to see everything, that big picture perspective, can actually totally blind you to the truth.
It really can.
We are going to connect that Berkeley scandal, a bizarre math quirk in kidney stone treatments, and a radical philosophical idea about human morality from the Torah. Okay, let's unpack this because it is a lot.
It is a counterintuitive mix for sure, but the thread connecting them fundamentally changes how we process information. I mean, we have this deep-seated assumption that zooming out automatically gives us the most objective view of reality.
Yeah, think of it like zooming out way too far on a GPS map. You get this great view of the entire state and your general route.
But you miss the immediate details.
Exactly. You crash your car because you zoomed out so far that you couldn't see. The bridge was out a quarter mile ahead of you.
Right. And that is exactly what happened with the Berkeley data. When researchers finally, zoomed in and looked at individual departments rather than the whole school, the narrative flipped completely.
Wait, so there was no discrimination?
No, women weren't being discriminated against at all. They were just applying in much higher numbers to highly competitive departments with, tiny acceptance rates.
Oh, I see.
Men, meanwhile, were flooding the departments that were simply easier to get into.
Okay, wow. The same thing happens in medicine, actually. Let's look at kidney stones. Say a hospital has treatment A and treatment B.
Right.
Treatment A is objectively better for small stones. It's a 93% success rate versus 87. And it is also better for large stones, 73 versus 69.
So treatment A is the obvious winner.
You would think so. But magically, when you combine all those patients into one big overall statistic, treatment B looks better overall, 83% to 78%. How is that even mathematically possible?
Well, it comes down to volume and weighted averages. Treatment A was the go-to procedure for the hardest, most severe cases.
Yeah.
And because the hospital performed treatment A on a massive volume of those severe cases where success rates are naturally lower, that heavy volume just dragged down treatment A's overall average.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is called Simpson's paradox. The summary statistic completely erases the crucial context of who is getting which treatment.
So the big picture literally creates a false reality.
It does. And what's fascinating here is that statistics often lie by aggregation.
Yeah.
But, this raises an important question. What happens when the big picture isn't a statistical illusion?
What do you mean?
What happens when the zoomed-out view is actually 100% true?
Okay. We see this play out in the biblical story of Parashat Matot. The Israelites are standing at the edge of the Jordan River, preparing to cross over and enter the land of Israel.
Which is a moment of immense national significance and, frankly, impending warfare.
Right. They are about to fight for their survival. And two tribes, the tribe of Gad and the tribe of Reuben, approach Moses with a highly controversial request.
Very controversial.
They look at the land on the east side of the Jordan River and realize it's absolutely perfect for their massive herds of livestock. So they ask Moses if they could just stay there and settle on the east side rather than crossing over with everyone else.
And Moses' reaction is explosive.
To put it mildly.
Right. I mean, from his perspective, the entire nation is about to go to war. The rest of the tribes are going to cross the river and risk their lives in battle, and Gad and Reuben are just going to stay behind in comfort with their cattle.
It looks like a catastrophic betrayal.
It looks like they're abandoning their brothers.
So to calm this down, the two tribes immediately clarify their intentions. They promise Moses that they will not abandon the nation. They commit to crossing the Jordan, marching on the front lines, fighting until the entire land is conquered.
They say they'll lead the charge, essentially.
Yes, and only after the war is fully won will they return to the east side, to their families and their property.
So Moses accepts this compromise, but he issues a very specific condition. He tells them that if they fulfill this promise, they will be, quote, clean before the Lord and before Israel.
Clean before God and clean before the people, which, raises a massive philosophical challenge.
He really does.
Because if God is omniscient, if God sees all things, knows the absolute truth of my heart, and knows my motives are absolutely pure, there seems to be no logical reason why it should matter what limited, judgmental, easily confused human beings think of me.
Right. If you are doing the right thing in God's eyes, who cares what the neighbors think?
Exactly. If I am clean before God, the court of public opinion should be completely irrelevant.
To resolve this tension, we have to introduce the philosophy of Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, known as Rav Kook.
One of the most brilliant Jewish thinkers of the 20th century.
Absolutely. He introduces this deeply radical concept regarding the nature of God's perspective versus human perspective.
Right, because by definition, God possesses the ultimate, infinite, big picture.
Yes, God does not just see one moment in time or one individual person or even one single generation. God sees all of time, all generations, all of reality simultaneously.
The ultimate zooming out.
Exactly. And Rav Kook explains that from this infinite cosmic vantage point, absolutely everything that happens is absorbed into an unfolding whole.
Nothing exists outside the total movement of reality.
Right, toward its ultimate final purpose.
Wow.
This means that even events we perceive as horrific tragedy, destruction, the actions of incredibly wicked people, ultimately have a place within the grand cosmic unfolding of existence.
Okay, wait, I need to push back hard here because this raises the intellectual stakes immensely.
I know where you're going with this.
If I accept that everything happens for a reason on a cosmic scale, that seems to give me a philosophical blank check to commit atrocities.
Right.
I mean, I could act with terrible cruelty and say, trust me, you just can't see the big picture. This terrible crime I am committing will eventually serve the greater story. It paralyzes the very concept of justice, if the end justifies all means.
You have just identified the exact terror of the infinite view. And Rav Kook acknowledges this explicitly.
He does.
Yes, he explains that while God's perspective is absolutely true, the infinite picture is not an illusion, it is reality. It is terrifyingly dangerous for human beings to adopt it.
Because if human beings try to look at reality exclusively from the perspective of final cosmic harmony, the distinction between the righteous and the wicked completely vanishes.
Exactly. If every evil act eventually contributes to a cosmic good, then fighting evil becomes pointless.
The wicked person is just playing a necessary role in history.
Right. From the ultimate perspective, everything is absorbed into the whole. So Rav Kook's daring, counterintuitive point is that human beings are morally forbidden from living in that infinite perspective.
Forbidden.
Yes.
And this is where we uncover the moral power of human limitation. We are not infinite. We are deeply finite. And Rav Kook argues that this limitation is not a weakness. It is our greatest moral advantage.
It is what makes us moral creatures. We do not live in the infinite sweep of history. We live in particular finite moments.
We stand in front of specific individual people.
Yes, and because our vision is limited, we actually feel the friction of injustice. We see specific pain. We see a specific person who has been hurt.
The infinite perspective sees how all things eventually fit together. But the limited human perspective sees what must be stopped right now.
Because we cannot see the final cosmic harmony, we are capable of pointing at an action and saying, this act is wrong, this person is acting wickedly.
So human limitation allows us to distinguish between what ultimately is and what morally ought to be.
Precisely. There is a foundational Talmudic rule regarding justice that perfectly encapsulates this. It says, a judge can rule only according to what his own eyes can see.
Meaning, a human judge is not asked to calculate the 500-year historical consequences of a crime.
No. They are not supposed to weigh how this injustice might ripple through the centuries to eventually produce a positive outcome.
They are commanded to look at the concrete, immediate reality standing before them and render justice based on the facts in the room.
Right, so bringing this all the way back to Moses and the tribes of Gad and Reuben.
Right, the requirement to be clean before Israel.
When Moses tells them they must be clean before the Lord and before Israel, he isn't telling them to win a popularity contest. He is telling them they cannot hide behind God's cosmic leniency.
But he can't just say, well, God knows our hearts are pure and God knows this will all work out in the end.
Exactly. Their actions must be defensible within the limited, concrete world of human moral judgment. They have to do the right thing in the present tense, visible to the limited eyes of their peers.
What is so fascinating here is how this expands on what we learned from Simpson's paradox.
It connects perfectly.
It really does. Simpson's paradox showed us that a big picture summary can be mathematically false. It can actively hide the factual truth.
Right.
But Rav Kook shows us something far more radical. A big picture can be entirely 100% true-like God's infinite perspective, and it is still morally forbidden for human beings to use it as a guide for action.
A true summary that you are morally forbidden to use.
Because the greater good fallacy plays out in our everyday lives all the time. Historically and interpersonally, the phrase, "it's for the greater good," is almost universally the preamble to cruelty.
It usually is. It is the boss who publicly humiliates an employee to protect the culture of the company.
Right.
Or the parent who emotionally crushes a child, genuinely believing this harshness will make them strong for the real world.
Or the institution that covers up a horrific abuse scandal. Because exposing the truth might damage the reputation of an organization that does so much good for so many people.
In every single one of those cases, the perpetrator is demanding that you ignore the specific, granular reality.
They are saying, don't look at the individual pain I'm causing right now. Look at the theoretical big picture. Look at the summary.
And the Jewish philosophical tradition we are exploring today issues a resounding no to that mindset. You are not God. You do not have the right to sacrifice the concrete dignity of the person standing in front of you for a theoretical cosmic summary.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? It means you cannot rely purely on summaries.
Definitely not.
Whether you are picking a surgeon with a lower overall success rate because maybe she takes the most impossible cases, or you're evaluating a coworker based on a single metric, the big picture often erases the truth.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, consider the age we're entering. Artificial intelligence is now constantly summarizing our world.
Oh, true.
It summarizes our news, our research, our daily conversations. The temptation is to live entirely inside those summaries, letting a machine smooth away all the messy, crucial details.
Which leaves us with a final thought to mull over. If human morality actually relies on our limitations, our inability to see the infinite future, what happens when we ask an AI, which is built to process infinite data and bypass human limits, to make a moral decision for us? Can a limitless machine ever truly be ethical?